And let me tell you, that's a dangerous place to be. Because when you give someone else the power to tell you what's real, you give them the power to control your whole life. And they will use it. They'll use it to keep you small, compliant, easy to manage, and all the while they'll wear the mask of innocence. They'll say, I'm just trying to help, but help doesn't silence you. Help doesn't erase you. Real love stands with your truth, even when it's messy. Real love says, I hear you, I believe you. Anything else is manipulation dressed up in concern. Don't fall for it. You deserve to live in a world where your truth is safe. One of the hardest parts of gaslighting is that it turns you into a stranger to yourself. You stop trusting your own eyes, your own heart, your own mind. You could be standing in a room full of broken pieces, holding the evidence in your hands, and they'll still look you in the face and say, it was never broken. And the more they repeat it, the more you start wondering if maybe you are the problem. That's how deep it goes. That's how this game is played. And the worst part, they do it in a way that makes you feel like you owe them an apology, like you're being unreasonable for reacting. That's psychological warfare. That's someone trying to take your voice and call it overreaction. But let me remind you, your feelings are not fiction. Your pain is not imaginary. What you saw, what you felt, what you experienced, it's valid. And if someone's constantly making you feel like you have to fight just to be believed, that's not love. That's power. That's ego. That's a person who cares more about looking right than being right. And no soul deserves to be silenced just to preserve someone else's comfort. Gaslighting will have you apologizing for things you never did, for emotions you didn't create, for pain you didn't start. It will have you walking on emotional glass barefoot, bleeding while trying to convince yourself it's normal. And that's how you know it's gone too far. When you begin to protect the person who's hurting you because they've convinced you that you're the unstable one, that you're the one who's always overreacting. You're lucky anyone's even dealing with you. Let me tell you right now, that's not love, that's psychological prison. And the scariest part is, people will gaslight you and still say they love you. They'll look you in the eyes and call you precious while tearing down your sanity behind your back. But love does not make you lose your voice. It doesn't erase your perspective. It doesn't mold your reality to make room for someone else's denial. Your truth is not negotiable. It is your anchor in the storm. And anyone trying to pull it from you is not trying to love you, they're trying to unmake you. And you've got to decide that your peace, your truth, yourself is worth more than their comfort. You don't need permission to own your story. You don't need validation from someone who constantly rewrites your emotions like they're editing a script. You were there, you lived it, you felt it, and you know when something doesn't feel right. That's not paranoia, that's your intuition. And gaslighters hate intuition because it's the one thing they can't fully control. That quiet voice inside you that says something's off. That voice is your defense system, and they'll do everything to shut it down. They'll tell you you're imagining things, that you're too emotional, that no one else would put up with you. But that's projection. That's them unloading their dysfunction onto your spirit and hoping you'll carry it. Don't carry it. Let it fall. Because your truth doesn't need to be convenient for anyone else. It doesn't need to be polished or pretty or easy to hear. It just needs to be real. And the more you speak it, the more power you take back. The more you believe it, the more free you become. And freedom starts with one decision. I believe me. Not their version, not their spin, me. There's something deeply cruel about being hurt and then told the hurt didn't happen, that your tears were too much, that your reaction was the problem, not the cause. It's like being pushed underwater and then blamed for drowning. That's the emotional chokehold gaslighting puts you in. And it's especially brutal when it comes from someone you trusted, a friend, a partner, a parent. Someone who should have been your safe place, because when the person you turn to is the one making you doubt yourself, it shatters something inside. But here's what they can't destroy: your inner knowing. That small, quiet flame inside that remembers the truth, that remembers how it really felt. And I want you to hold on to that flame, because that's your power, that's your compass. It might flicker, it might feel weak, but it's real. And with every lie they try to bury you in, that flame still burns. You are not crazy. You are not difficult. You are not wrong for needing to be heard. What you are is awake. And being awake means you don't have to stay in the lie. You can walk out. You can rebuild. Because the truth will always find its voice again. You're allowed to take your story back. Every twisted memory, every moment you were made to feel small, unsure, unstable, you get to reclaim that, because gaslighting tries to erase you, but healing rewrites you in your own voice. And that voice, it's strong, it's clear, it's rooted in something deeper than fear. It's rooted in truth. And truth is not fragile. Truth does not break under pressure. And when you start speaking it out loud, unapologetically, you'll see the power return to your bones. You'll stop needing permission to feel. You'll stop explaining your pain to people committed to misunderstanding you. You'll start trusting yourself again. And that's how the cycle breaks. That's how you heal. Not by waiting for an apology from someone who thrives on denial, but by looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I believe you. That is where freedom begins. That is where the lie ends. And that right there, that's where you rise. You ever been in a room full of people and still felt invisible? That kind of loneliness doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being overlooked, ignored, pushed to the side like you don't matter. That's what consistent neglect does to a person. It eats at you slowly, like a silent thief stealing your sense of worth, one forgotten moment at a time. They don't yell. They don't slam doors. They just never call. They never show up. They never ask how you are. And after a while, you start wondering if maybe you are too much. Maybe being seen, being heard, being chosen is just not in the cards for you. That's the dangerous lie neglect whispers in your ear. But I need you to hear me when I say this. You are not an afterthought. You are not someone to be put on a shelf and dusted off when it's convenient. You are not someone to be remembered only in silence or when it serves someone else. You deserve consistent presence, real attention, the kind that doesn't need a reminder. The kind that shows up because it wants to, not because it's obligated. You deserve to be someone's priority, not their backup plan. Neglect is not just about what they don't do, it's about what it teaches you to accept. When someone continuously fails to show up for you, you start shrinking. You stop expressing your needs. You begin to feel like needing anything at all is a burden. You water yourself down, hoping maybe then they'll notice. You become low mental. You stop asking. You stop expecting. You convince yourself that silence is better than disappointment. But deep down, that ache grows louder. Because your soul was never meant to survive on scraps. You weren't built to wait endlessly for love that barely shows up. And the truth is, when someone makes a habit out of neglecting you, they're showing you exactly where you stand in their life. Don't ignore that. Don't justify it. Because consistent neglect doesn't just happen. It's a choice to disregard your humanity, a choice to ignore your value. And you don't have to stay there. You don't have to keep proving you're worthy of being seen. You already are. And if they can't see that, it's not your job to dim your light. It's their job to open their eyes. You know what hurts the most about neglect? It's not just the absence. It's the message underneath it. That you're not worth the effort. That your presence isn't missed, that your pain doesn't matter enough to be acknowledged. That kind of silence is loud, deafening even. It echoes in your chest and makes you question every part of yourself. Was I too much? Was I not enough? And that spiral, it's not your fault. It's what happens when someone you care about stops caring back, when they get used to your strength, your consistency, your loyalty. So much so, they think you'll always be there no matter how little they show up for you. But love is not a one-way street. And being strong doesn't mean accepting emotional starvation. You are not someone to be visited only in convenience. You are not a pit stop on someone's journey to somewhere better. You are a destination all on your own. And anyone who makes you feel like you're optional, like you're just nice to have around, but never necessary, they don't deserve the fullness of your love. Because love isn't a game of hide and seek. It's presence. It's consistency. And it's time you demanded that. When someone consistently neglects you, you start adapting to it like it's normal. You start celebrating breadcrumbs. A text back after days feels like a victory. A short conversation becomes a moment to cling to. And that's the saddest part. You begin to lower the bar so much that the bare minimum feels like affection. But deep down, you know that's not what love is supposed to feel like. Love doesn't keep you wondering. It doesn't make you guess. It doesn't go silent when you need it most. And yet so many of us stay. We hold on, hoping that one day they'll change, that one day they'll wake up and finally see us. But how many more days are you going to lose waiting on someone to decide you're worthy?